Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's morning ramble. And today I want to explore a question with you, but the question isn't really the point of the ramble. The question is sort of our jumping off point for the ramble. And the question is, how long is a minute? And we're gonna put this to the test. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to start a timer. So I'm going to start a stopwatch. And I'm going to go quiet. And I want you to close your eyes if you can do so safely. Obviously, don't be silly. And I want you to open your eyes when you think the minute is up. Now, just to be clear, I'm not going to start talking again in exactly a minute. I'm going to let it go longer than a minute. So you can't just wait for me to talk and assume that's the minute. So I want you to do it as for real as you can. So close your eyes, and when you think a minute has passed, open them and just make a note of the time that it says on the stopwatch. And then we'll talk about it afterwards. So, okay, so here we go. We've got our timer there, and close your eyes when you're ready and go. Okay. So if you haven't opened your eyes yet, that was a minute 15, a little over that before I stopped. But if you're like most people I have run this experiment with over the years, you probably opened your eyes somewhere between 30 and 40 seconds. Even though I've done this dozens of times over the years, when I did it over the weekend just to experiment, I still opened my eyes at 39 seconds. And so there's a couple of points, because like I said, the experiment's the experiment, but the point is the point. One is, my experience is the busier our minds are, the shorter our minutes. Like the more convinced we are that less time, well, that must have been a minute by now. The more our minds are going at the speed of life, the more they've slowed down to the speed of life, as Richard Carlson and Joseph Bailey wrote about in their book. The more present we are. The more a minute feels like a minute, the more in tune with life we are. Now, doesn't mean that if your mind's going fast, bad, and if your mind's going slower, good in the abstract. It just so happens that when our minds are going about the speed of life, and when a minute feels about like a minute, what tends to come to our minds and through our minds is much more impactful. And we just tend to do better. And so if you're finding yourself with some pretty short minutes, or the other way of thinking about that is, man, a minute is a lot longer than I thought it was, then there's a couple of things you can do. One is take a minute out a little more often. Because in taking that minute out to do whatever you know to do to get a little bit more present, a little bit more settled, chances are you'll sort of sync your mind back up with the universal mind. But if nothing else, you'll probably catch your breath and you'll probably move forward from a nicer place inside. So I'd love it if you share your times in the comments section and any other reflections you have about how long your minute was. And until next time, have fun, learn heaps, and I'll talk with you soon.